Good afternoon and welcome to TeleHealth 101. This afternoon we're going to spend a couple of minutes going over the process for telehealth. The first thing you'll need to do is navigate to the doxy.me sign-in website. If you go to your browser and you just type in doxy.me/sign-in, it will take you to the landing page. Each provider has been given a user ID and a password. We've already created accounts. So you'll need to log in to your user with your username, which is your actual email address for Family Healthcare Associate. The password is the word password with a 1 and a star. You'll need to capitalize the word password. And if something happens that the password you're not able to enter the password correctly, then you can use the forgot password link, and it'll send you an email to your email address or record allowing you to change that. Dr. Alderetti has allowed me to use his account, so I'm going to type in walderetti@fhcatx.com, and then I'm going to type the word password with a 1 and a star. You do have the ability to select the Remember Me on this computer option. There's no data, personal HBI saved on this doxy.com website with regards to the patient. I'm going to select Sign In. You'll notice as I select Sign In, it puts a little check mark to make sure to let me know that it recovered the information. And from here is the dashboard for the doxy.me account. This is a free version that we're utilizing at this point in time, but there are a lot of options if we were to upgrade to maybe perhaps the clinical component. You'll notice here that one of the areas that you'll use most is the patient queue. Once a patient has been sent the invite, the room number, then and they log in, this is where the information will show up. You'll also notice that it went ahead and defaulted to your dashboard. But another area that you'll probably find of benefit is this meeting history. The nice thing about the meeting history, as you talk to the patient using the telehealth services, it will record the date and, of course, the start and the end time with the duration of the communication. At this point in time, I'm going to move back over to the dashboard. This is the information that's going to be really important to you because we'll need this invite to send this to the patient. Each physician has been given a unique room number. The room number is always the same, but for today, I'm going to actually copy this room number because I need to send this invite to a patient via email. When the patient appointment is scheduled, the nursing staff will be able to review the demographics for the patient, and then we can just copy and paste the patient's email. But for right now, I just select the copy button. You do have the ability, if you would like, to send the invite using an email, and if you select the email, then you would use your web services. You'd need to make sure that you've already logged in for Outlook. I'm going to go ahead and use my Outlook email today, so I'm going to select Outlook, and I'm going to create a new one, and I'm going to send this to Matthew Sutherland, who has very kindly agreed to assist with the video. I'm also going to utilize the template, the FHCA letter template that we've created. We've already sent that information to the physicians. So I'm just going to copy this template and open it up. Your staff can save it to their desktop. And I'm just going to copy this information. Whoops. I'm just going to copy this and make this available and put this on my email. Here's the paste the information. Now I also have to paste that room number, but so I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to hit copy, and I'm going to go back to my email, and I'm just going to enter my meeting number right here, paste that information in there. And of course you also have the ability, if you would like, to enter in the patient's appointment date and time just as a reminder. I'm going to type in here virtual visit. I spell it correctly, and I'm going to hit send. Now Matthew is going to receive that email link. I want to show you exactly what Matthew will receive. So I'm going to go back into my email and I'm going to select a copy of what I sent to Matthew. This is his email, and he will literally select this doxy.com link. This is the patient component. The patient will enter in their name here, so I'm just going to type in Matthew. And then I would select check-in. One of the nice things about this check-in process is that on the landing page for the patient, it literally will allow them to review some tips for a great video call. One of the things that we need to make sure of is that we have the latest browser for Google Chrome or for Safari or Firefox. If the patient doesn't have that information on their computer, of course they would be able to download it here. We'll need to make sure in order to have a video call, the patient will have to have a mobile device, maybe perhaps a cell phone or a computer that's enabled with an audio and a video. So you'll notice that I'm logged in. This right here is telling me that Dr. Alderete is available because I am already logged in as Dr. Alderete. The patient also has the ability to do a pre-call test. This will check to make sure that it's able to pick up the audio and video for the patient. I'm going to log out of that and I'm going to go back into the dashboard. Matthew is actually going to go into his link for the email that I sent him. And once he selects the link, then it'll go ahead and his name will actually show up in queue. See? You'll notice, Matthew, have you been able to click that link? Once Matthew clicks the link, that information will show up here and his name will show up in queue. You'll notice that Matthew's name has now presented, so I'll just hover over his name and select Start Call. When I select the Start Call, on both the patient side and the provider side, it will show that the video is initialing, and then it'll finalize the actual communication. Here is Matthew. You'll notice that the picture quality is actually quite good. I've noticed that from a provider perspective, it's a little bit grainy, but the picture quality of the patient is really good. Matthew, can you hear me? Matthew, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, you can.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so are you moving around in the hallway? Or are you standing still?
I can hear you. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you just fine. So you'll also notice that if we're looking over on the right-hand side, left-hand side of the
I'm
screen,
standing still now.
that's just keep talking to me, Matthew. I'm going to be showing the physicians. You have the ability to pause. They put the patient on hold. Obviously, you can adjust your audio or video quality. And then when you're finished, you can actually also end the call. There's also the ability right over here in the corner to send a communication if I wanted to. So I could type my communication here to Matthew, and Matthew would be able to see it on his side. And then, of course, he could also answer that as well. Thank you very much, Matthew. We appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and end the call.
Okay.
So at this point in time, I've ended the call. Matthew's going to end it on his side. And then I'll also be able to come over here to the meeting history, and I'll be able to see that I was on the call with Matthew for 1 minute and 26 seconds. The next thing that we'll need to do is move over to NextGen. It's important to note that when a patient checks in the office, of course, the encounter is created by the front office staff. But since this encounter is not going to be created by the front office staff and will rather be created by the back office staff or the physician in this case, you'll need to remember to create a new encounter. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new encounter on my test patient. And I'm going to select New Encounter. And at this point in time, you'll be able to go down into the SOAP template. From the SOAP template, obviously, you're going to be able to select your visit type. And then, of course, document your call just like you normally would, your history of present illness and your review of symptoms. When you get to the finalize office visit area, you'll select the finalize office visit template. This is where you're going to submit your codes. It's important to remember that you'll need to submit your codes. Otherwise, there's no ability to track this, especially if this communication takes place outside of normal business hours, because there may not be an appointment associated with it. So each of the providers will need to make sure that the managers or one of their nursing staff enters in the appointment or reaches out to the manager to make sure the manager knows to be looking for those charges. We have created a report for the managers, so they would be able to capture any encounters with charges pending. So if you submit your charges, we'll be able to find those, even if it's on a weekend or a weeknight. I'm going to enter an assessment code for this patient. So I'm going to I just enter in any assessment code, and I'm going to save and close. And then I'll come down to the bottom. Now, in the past, we've always submitted our codes for the new patient code and established codes in this section, but we've actually created a new section for telehealth services. It's important to, when you're submitting codes for telehealth, that you submit them from this area, because we've automatically built in the modifiers to assure that when the claim goes through, it actually is going to document this as being a telehealth call or a telehealth communication instead of using the normal office visit codes. There are a couple of components that are important to charge out as part of telehealth. You'll need to document the patient consents to the telehealth services. If you'll notice in the email that I sent out, it does note that the patient will be responsible for those services if their insurance company doesn't, it's not a covered benefit. We also have the patient as part of the FREESIA process. They've signed our authorization for payment and our payment services agreement. So I'm going to select that the patient consents. I'm also going to select in here what time maybe perhaps I sent with the patient. In this case, I'm going to document 10 minutes. I can document where the patient is at. In this case, I'm going to document that they're at home. I can document the provider's location. In this case, I'm going to select the office. And then I also need to document how the patient initiated the communication request. I'm going to select email, but if I find that I didn't want to put email and want to select phone, I can do that. You have your new patient numbers and you have your established patient information. These are the same exact numbers that you'll see here, but just bear in mind that these are actually built in with the modifier to assure that our claim knows that this is the 95 modifier along with the telehealth services. So in this case, I'm going to select that I have a 99213. You can either document it and complete the call based on the 15 minutes with the patient, or you would charge this based on meeting the components of a 99213. In this case, I'm going to select the 99213 and I'm going to submit my code. At that point in time, it's going to submit the charges. There'll be an encounter created on the PM side for that. And of course, the front office manager will be able to run a report to capture that if an encounter is not associated with it from an appointment. And then of course, on the master document, toward the bottom of the master document, you'll be able to note the telephone services. So it puts patient consents to teleservice, and of course the location, information provider, time spent, and the information that we documented with regards to visit initiated by phone. I have actually already sent out an email, and on this email you would have received the telehealth processes. You'll have received the template for an email. We also completed screenshots on the PowerPoint presentation, and then I'm going to go ahead and send out the video at this point in time. So please let us know if you have any questions. Thank you very much for attending.